Right, we're live. Hi guys, it's Nick and Zaheer with our regular Thursday hangout show thing. We've got a guest with us tonight who many of you will know and recognise. Do you want to say hi, Tom?
Hi Tom, you're right. It's hi Nick. It's me, Tom, the English picker. Thought I'd come on and have a little natter since I haven't been on the tube much of late.
Yeah, you've been a bit quiet on YouTube, to be fair. Not put much out there.
No, no, it's too busy hustling and trying to make some money in the desperate summer months.
Yeah. Now, Zaheer, can you hear us yet, Zaheer?
Oh yeah, I can hear you guys. Hi there. Sorry about that.
That's all right. I was determined to actually go live on time today, so I could see you, so I just went for it. How are you doing, mate?
I'm good. I'm good. Hi everyone. Hi Tom. Sorry, I was just sorting myself out. I ended up just going for an afternoon nap. So hi Tom. How are you? Oh,
How's Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yeah, sorry to wake the old man up.
oh yeah, it's all right. I just it was one of those things. I don't know why I went for a nap, but it just felt like I was just knackered. Just knackered. So.
Working too hard, mate.
Something like that, maybe. Yeah, I'd like to think that. Yeah, I'll take that as an excuse. That would do me just fine. Working too hard. Oh,
So, Tom, it's been quite a while. What have you been up to? Same old, or how's business?
Uh, yeah, same old, really. Rinse and repeat. Amazon, trying to build up my eBay. Um, Trying to sort the house out, which you can sort of see behind me is getting there. So yeah, that's about it. Trying to plan a wedding and yeah, all sorts really. So it's just been keeping me busy. I've actually uploaded a video. It was about a week ago, but I just need to make it live if that makes sense. So there will be videos again. People keep messaging me asking me for dickheads of the week, so I need to start doing them again.
Yeah, people love that. People love a good rant about a dickhead, me included. What about yourself, Sahir? Have you had a busy week then? You must have done. You've been that knackered. You had an afternoon kip.
yeah, pretty much the usual. I mean, we've been working hard on getting our store listings up, and it's kind of the first time we've actually done that as well. Like actually gone, specifically to build the store up with any real focus, and I'm finding out how difficult it can be in terms of just effort, time consuming kind ofness, and
So, how are you doing numbers wise? Where are you at? You're probably putting me to shame.
well, not quite yet. I mean, we're touching about 570 odd now. But we when we moved up, we were just under 400. But we've sold over 80 items so far in August. So that kind of gives an idea that we've been, the turnover's been coming in as well. So if it hadn't been for those 80 odd items going, we would have been well, flying. But obviously, I'm glad that they did go out because otherwise I'd have no money. So, but yeah, it's just the building on it now. Getting used to the new life up north and everything. So, apart from that, had a bit of an interesting visit yesterday that you know about, Nick.
Yes. Do you want to share that? I don't know if Tom's heard about that.
Yeah.
Are you happy
No.
to share that story, Zahir?
Well, we've only been in our lovely little cul-de-sac street for 3 weeks as the new family, and drives up a big policeman in his police car, and starts knocking on our window. And we open the door, and it turns up that I had a stab vest listed on eBay, and I've had it listed for months. So I've been relisting it, whatnot. Um, and someone has seen that listing and identified it as an ex-Met police stab vest and reported it to the Met. So the Met are obviously not pleased about their property being flogged off on eBay. So they've contacted Lancashire Constabulary, who've then contacted our local station, and before you know it, I've got a lovely policeman at my door. Very polite, everything was perfect. I ended up just surrendering it I could have said no. I showed him my proof of purchase because luckily I bought it at an auction. So whoever put it up for auction is probably going to be in trouble because obviously they shouldn't have handed it in to be sold. So that was a bit funny.
Didn't that have the original owner, like the sergeant's name written in Sharpie on it or something?
Well,
Is that
yeah,
the one?
someone had written PC Smith, but it was so generic. I thought that was a piss take or something. Do you know what I mean? I
Oh,
didn't. Do you know what I mean? It was literally PC Smith or something like that. It wasn't. It didn't even sound real. But it turns out that it probably was owned by a PC Smith. So, whoever they are, whoever last used that, could be in a little bit of bother for selling it, really, because it's not theirs to sell.
yeah.
You
So
know.
did you lose much money? How much did it cost you?
Well, thankfully I looked at my receipt and it cost me 18 quid.
Okay.
So I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna argue with the fuzz, just let them have it. So that was it. And then now I'm kind of feeling a bit paranoid. Had a little chat with the neighbours afterwards, just explained to them what happened. But I feel like I've got to explain to everyone. I'm gonna walk down the street being extra nice and yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's quite a small town, isn't it? That rumor will be everywhere already. You'll be notorious.
Yeah, already, a new family that's just come in. I mean, it's terrible. And the worst thing is we haven't got any sofas in our front room yet. So it just looks like, what kind of a dodgy house is this? There's no sofa. You look into the living room and it's just empty. We've done the dining room, done all the other rooms except we haven't got our sofa yet, or we haven't got a TV yet. And to be honest with you, I'm kind of not bothered about a TV, but the landlord has TV brackets in every room. So they used to have like 4 or 5 TVs, and we haven't got one TV. And to be honest, I'm not bothered about TV. I'm not even sure if I want one. But not having sofas and having the fuzz around your house within 3 weeks of moving in, um, probably makes you look a little bit dodgy.
Yeah. Excellent story. That did make me laugh when you shared that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
they'll be saying all these Southerners, they come up north, amongst us honest folks, bringing their stolen goods.
Yeah,
And of course,
bringing the area into disrepute, Tom? You're looking of a particularly sunny disposition in that yellow t-shirt.
yeah, I thought I'd be a bit optimistic, even though it's absolutely peeing it down outside. But yeah, why not?
How are you getting on with that 40-foot container of yours or whatever it is? I don't know, 20 feet.
Yeah, it's full.
Get to the back yet?
Yeah, it's completely full. I've got but yeah, I filled it up, and then everybody I talked to went, "Oh, have you got any problems with condensation?" I was like, "No," and then all of a sudden I find out that in winter time, it's like it's raining inside with condensation.
Oh wow.
So yeah, I've got to get it all moved again. So that's fun. So,
Oh, God.
but it's
I,
funny what you were saying about that stab vest. It was a couple of years ago from the car boot. I bought some ceramic, they're ballistic plates that go in a bulletproof vest, and I put them on eBay, and they went to the Ukraine, and it was just before all the problems with Russia and invading Ukraine. So
wow.
I didn't get any kind of recourse from that, but yeah, interesting.
I think it's an interesting topic just from the point of view of it shows that little learning is dangerous and you got to be careful with what you mess with, haven't you? I mean, I could have easily not bought it. Normally I'm a bit careful to about what I pick up and that kind of thing. But I think I was feeling a bit adventurous, when you're at auction, especially, and lots are coming through, and you always tend to look out for that more unique item. I mean, Tom, you pick up all kinds of unique items, don't you? And that's kind of your forte. So, like,
Yeah.
are there any other areas that you would recommend to stay away from, just so you know not to, not
Uh,
with?
yeah, I mean anything police related, uniforms, badges is I mean, Ken said this, like the shoulder badges and all sorts. They're dodgy. And then there's a lot of exercise DVDs. I think it's something like P90X, anything by Beachbody. I can't remember. There's like an extreme one, and I can't remember the name of it. But yeah, all those are against. You can sell them, but you got to sell them quick.
I, I had
And
the
then
I had the R4 cards taken down the same evening as well.
yeah,
The same evening, so that's another
yeah.
one to add. That's the Vero list. But anything that you would recommend to avoid if you don't want 5-0 turning up on your doorstep.
I mean, You do always wonder. It's like buying electronics at the car boot. I mean, I don't buy any phones or anything. This is a PSP, but you do think, especially with like portable handheld stuff, it does make me wonder how much stuff I've bought over the years that has been stolen at some point. You know, I tend to try and, I know you shouldn't judge people, but I do tend to try and judge the person who's selling it. If it's some old dear with like a games console that their grandson isn't fussed about anymore, I'll tend to buy it. But if it's some shady looking character, with a table full of electronics with no charging cables, you think, not sure about this.
There's very little you can do, to be honest, to avoid potentially picking up stolen goods. Hang on, we've got an echo. Where's that coming from? Has someone got their mic up loud? Let me check mine. Hold on. Just going to turn mine down. Yeah, what I was saying was, there's not a lot you can do to avoid stolen goods. Obviously, if somebody tells you it's knocked off, then you've got the knowledge that it's stolen, and then you could be done for handling. Interestingly, when we had our gaming shop, I mean, as you know, my past was in the police force anyway, so I was pretty genned up on it anyway. But we used to get shared lists of people we weren't allowed to deal with in the police force. They'd come in and gives us names and little pictures of people we weren't allowed to buy from because they were known, people who had fenced stolen goods. And beyond that, we just had to be really cautious, really. But we got involved in a couple of stings where people were bringing stuff in and they were identified as dodgy, so we just delayed them and told them to come back at a certain time, and the police would arrive en masse and nick them. That was quite good fun.
Yeah, I've heard stories about that with like CEX. I was in there just trading. I got a load of stock. I'd bought like bundles of stuff, and it was stuff that wasn't just trading it in for pennies just to get rid of it. And chatting to the guy there, and he was saying that they've done that where they've had something in. Oh, got to test that half an hour, and then they call the police, and then when the person comes back, the police there are waiting. So.
Yeah. Well, we used to get serial numbers. We used to get people who'd had burglaries locally or in local towns, and they'd come and give us lists of stuff and serial numbers. And if we were offered that stuff, we would check it against a database. If there was a match, we'd get in touch with our, local officers and basically set up a sting. So when they were coming back to get their cash, they would just descend, and we'd get one of the police walkie-talkies, and it was good fun. It took me back to when I was in the force, basically. It was, a bit of a flashback for me. So I was going to say, we've got the chat running. So if anybody has got any questions for Tom in particular or us guys, just put question in capitals in the chat, and we'll try and answer a few of those at some point. I've not managed to get into the chat yet. Let me see. Are you having a look at it now, Zaheer? Have you got it open? Have you got it there, Zaheer? I can't manage to.
I can't get it.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Right. I think I found it. Blimey, there's lots of people chatting. Let's have a look what we've got. Right, the last thing that's been said, question. Have you guys ever resold cars? I resold a camper van. I sold my own camper van for £6,000 on eBay. That was my biggest ever single sale. Tom, you sold any cars?
I've not sold a car, but I've sold a scooter and a motorbike before. Yeah. Not a car.
Were they your own, or did you
Yeah,
buy?
yeah, yeah. They're on my own. Yeah, I was going to list a car on eBay, but I just put a little crappy little note in the back window, and someone bought it before I even had a chance to list it. So I was going to go for it, but didn't need to.
Guys, can you hear me okay now? Or
Yeah, I can hear you there.
brilliant, brilliant. Yeah. No, I think it was muted before. I think I messed it up. That's all. Yeah, I was saying that we've actually had a couple of questions come in. So I don't know if you guys want to do any questions or
Yeah. I just did one. I don't
which
know
one?
if you could hear us at that point. Let me turn my mic up a touch.
Which question did you do?
It was at the point when I asked it, it was last on the list. It was about have we bought and sold cars?
Oh, right, okay. Well, yeah, there's a couple others I've seen as well. I mean, Carp Fishing Adventures had a decent question. I've not sold cars, but there you go. That's my answer to that one. Carp Fishing Adventures says, "What's been your hardest time reselling to date, and how did you overcome it?" That's a decent question, I thought.
Um, don't know. I mean, if you include the time we had the gaming shop, which was a reselling shop essentially on the high street, it would be when we had the shop broken into and the entire place trashed. That that just floored me. That did. We'd spent at that point about 4 years building up the business to a point where it was earning us really good money, and the whole place was completely wrecked overnight. And they stole a small fortune's worth of games and consoles. And at that point, I wanted to give up the whole thing. I'd had enough.
That
So
is
yeah,
pretty hardcore. Yeah, I remember when you first mentioned it. I think you told the story about the shop. It takes guts to come back from something like that. To be honest, a lot of people would have given up at that point. Um, what
yeah.
about what about yourself, Tom? Have you got any?
I was trying to think really. I mean, there's been a couple of tough times. There's two. One, the main one really was when I moved transition from doing gold and silver and coins into what I'm doing now. Because what happened was essentially the bottom fell out of the market in terms of price because the economy got better. Which when the economy's better, gold and silver prices go down. So when it's harder times, the prices go up. So things got better, but I had a lot invested in that. So I kind of, I cashed in my chips and I did lose some money. And it was at that point I did think, oh God, is this just like gambling? Am I a gambler here? I found that pretty tough. And then not long after that, when I got this huge haul of books, which kind of set me on this Amazon path, which I'm still dealing with, just the overwhelming vast quantities of filling every single garage, my workshop, a storage unit, my entire house full of books. I felt like I'd been cursed by this other guy. I'd sort of, been infected by his hoarding, and that was tough. But now my house is clear, so 2 years later, I've processed most of it. So
That's a lot of graft. I mean, I can't imagine like a sea of books in front of you and to separate because you didn't send everything in, did you? You didn't just blind send in everything.
no.
You had to actually make sure that it was worth it, considering the fees and whatnot.
Yeah, and I had 4 weeks to clear an entire house of 40 years worth of hoarding books. Backbreaking work. I mean, I did. I don't know how many van loads. It must have been 4 or 5, maybe more, long wheelbase van loads full of books to the local charity shops, just because I couldn't deal with them. They were all. I'd looked at them roughly, and I'm sure there was money there, but I just had to get rid because it was too much. We filled 2 skips full of magazines and
Wow.
God knows what CDs. It was such a waste, but it had to go.
That's insane. In
Mm.
term, I mean, I think that those show kind of your metal in a way, don't they? Your both of those stories. I mean, I don't think I've got anything to match that because I don't think I've been going long enough. But I suppose in my current experience, and especially at the moment, I'd say the biggest thing we've done is to both do this full time. It's that's the toughest challenge we've had to date reselling, to do this full time, because suddenly we now need to grow the business pretty much as quickly as possible, and we're in the process of it. So I can't exactly tell you how it's gone and how I've overcome it. We're in the process of dealing with it, and I've got to say it's probably the toughest time. However, I think that my experience in just reselling over the past nearly 2 years now has given me the mental strength, whereas before I would get so easily demoralized after a few tough like days or weeks or whatever. Now, now I can be like, oh, we've had only no sales today or 3 sales, and it's water off a duck's back now. Even though I don't know where my next money's coming from, for some reason I'm not phased by it, because I know I can make the money, and I will make the money. It's almost like it's almost just a belief you have in yourself, and I suppose that's something I'm dealing with in my position. But you guys, those stories are like rock hard. I mean, especially Nick as well. I mean, the money you would have lost there, and just it makes you question going back into bricks and mortar in that, and setting up again, because you set up again after that a game shop, didn't you?
Yeah, well, we got out of the. No, that was the game shop that was broken into.
Yeah, I know, but like you still set it up again, didn't you? You didn't.
Oh yeah, yeah, and then we expanded it into a bigger unit a couple of years later. It was
Yeah.
weird. It took me maybe 6 months to properly get over that, and then I said, "Bollocks to it! I'm bigger and better than this." And we pushed ourselves to open an even bigger store, and then turnover and everything went up. So I think long term it made us better. You know what I mean? It made us just determined to make it work. So, oh, here comes Monty. Hello, mate. Come here. Let me see if I can get him in today. Come on, say hello. Oi.
Oh,
Hey guys.
hello, Monty.
Hello. Hello.
Oh.
Oh, he's trying to get down.
Um,
Yeah, well, it's interesting listening to yourself, Zaheer, about going full time, because it really changes your outlook on reselling, doesn't it? It subtly changes your whole thing, or not even subtly, because you realise that this isn't a game. This is serious now,
yeah,
and everything, your income relies on what you can achieve,
yeah.
and it's so different, isn't it? In the headspace, it's
It is. I mean, it's little things I've noticed. I mean, we've all chatted about this as well. I mean, it's things that you think from the outside would be simple, such as what you do with your day. Because, one of the main things that everyone talks about is, oh, I'd love to be my own boss, because, I can fit work around what I need to do, and I can do what I want when I want. And I think it's kind of misleading in a way, because yes, you can do things when you want, but because you've got no one on your back, I mean, I would actually say that a good way of judging how successful you're going to be at it is if you went to university, how many lectures did you miss? If you missed a lot of lectures, you probably will struggle. And that's why I struggle, because I started university twice and I dropped out because I had no one on my back. Whereas if you went and you completed it, you went to all the lectures, you handed in your assignments without anyone on your back, because obviously at university they don't do that. They say, here's the assignment, it's due on this date, and if you hand it in, great. If you don't, nothing gets said. You just don't get a mark, do you? And I think that mindset is what is so relevant for when you're reselling, because you've got your.
it's funny. It's funny you should mention that, because when I was at well, I went to art college, essentially a university, but it was an art college, and I was just a rebel without a clue. I refused to go to lectures. I refused to go to the meetings to show your work and get it critiqued. I said no, bollocks to all of that, and I just kind of opted out. I actually dropped out and then went back and completed it. So I still got my degree, but I was such a idiot, really. I just totally rebelled against it all when all the lecturers are there to help you, but I was like, no, I'm doing this on my own. I was such a dickhead. But yeah, and I'm still the same, and that's why I'm doing what I do, because I'm this rebel without a clue is kind of how I describe myself. What was your experience, Tom? Because I know you've got a degree and a
Yeah,
master. Is that right?
masters. Yeah, I've got a masters. Yeah. I had no idea. I did it to do another 2 years of drinking. That was the main reason. I wanted to avoid the reality of having to have a proper job. Well, quote unquote proper job. And then I did have a proper job for a while, and I thought, I can't do this. You just see the life drained out of people. So I'd rather be like ducking and weaving, stressing about not having enough money in the bank account, thinking, oh God, where am I going to get 300 quid from in 4 days? I'd rather be that than sitting there being emotionally blackmailed by someone who's on a power trip, who's quote unquote your boss.
But
So
Tom, that's such a good point though. Like that thing that you just said there, that you'd rather just be worrying about how to get 300 quid in 4 days. And I think part of the reason is because you know that you have the tools at your disposal to come up with 300 quid in 4 days. Whereas if
yeah,
you're salaried and you've just spent the money, there's too much month at the end of the money. It doesn't matter what you do. You can have the most initiative in the world, but there's nothing you can do about it because you still have to do your hours at work, and they're not gonna. You can't change your situation. Whereas I think the beauty or the attraction of what we all do is, like you said, if you ever come up into a situation where you're like, shit, I need X amount in Y days, you can make it happen. Hustle, as people say.
mm,
I think the positives, we've talked about this before, but it's worth repeating some of it, that the positives about working for yourself and going solo doing this and kind of opting out of the rat race, the positives are also the negatives. The fact that you can do what you like with your time and you're free to do this, that and the other is fantastic. But also that's a real challenge to just get right every day, isn't it? I battle with that. I think you guys do as well. And and not having a boss and not having a regular salary is great and it's a positive, but again, that is a big challenge, more so for some than others, and it takes a lot of getting used to. So it's worth, if anyone is considering going full time, all the things you think will be fantastic will also really test you, I think is what I'm trying to say.
I've got to say Rebecca's handling it pretty well so far, or unless she's pretending and inside she's crumbling, but on the outside she seems to be handling it pretty well so far. So hopes, but we need to get a sofa as soon as possible. That will cheer her up, I reckon. Um, I've got a few more questions there. David Carrillo asks, I think he's from the States, obviously, what's the best way to find garage sales beside Craigslist? So if we adapt that question to us here, what's the best way to find boot sales? I'd say Facebook. Just go into Facebook, whatever your local area is, type in where you live and type in boot sales. And if you don't find anything, widen it out to maybe the county in which you live and then type in boot sales. And lots of groups will pop up run by run by these boot sales, and then away you go.
Most of them are on Google. There's a few good websites that list most of the popular ones. Oh, I've got an echo again.
It's not too bad.
But yeah, Google it works for me. Plus local papers, they list them in there.
Yeah. Here's another one.
I need to, before I forget, Zaheer, sorry to interrupt. I need to do a quick shout out because I got another present in the post. I think you guys know about this already. I received an envelope, pretty obviously going to have LPs in it. I hope I didn't just share my address then. And yeah, I got 2 Depeche Mode 12 inches.
Oh, wow.
These People Are People, 1984 or 5, I believe, from memory. And Everything Counts 12-inch.
Nice.
I think it was sent to me by Sam. A lot of you guys will probably know Sam the Reseller. Just search Sam the Reseller and you'll find his channel on YouTube. So cheers, Sam.
That is really
You
nice.
really didn't have to do that. I have no idea why, to be honest. He did put a little note in, so thanks, mate.
That is very kind of him.
It's quite ironic as well because, everyone knows I'm a huge Depeche Mode fan. I used to have a big vinyl collection. When I first started reselling, I purged and got rid of all of my 12-inch vinyl. I kept my collection of 7 inches, and now 15 years later, because of my reselling, I'm being given 12-inch records. It's like really bizarre how that's come full circle.
That's pretty awesome. Moving. Oh, by the way, guys, we've got 75 people watching us right now, so thank you, everyone. Only 20 thumbs ups though, so could do with a few more thumbs ups. But 75 people watching, so thanks everybody for.
Welcome
Um,
aboard to the Thursday show. What was it we called this? I keep forgetting what.
it,
Um,
I think
what was the
it's
name for
called the Tech Clusterfuck.
the Tech Clusterfuck, the Thursday Tech Clusterfuck, which bizarrely we haven't had much so far this
Well, no,
week.
my mic did mess
Dodgy.
up, you know.
Yeah, and we've got Tom on, and it's going quite smoothly. What's going on?
Uh, um, we've got I've had a few comments about my dishevelled appearance, which I had to ignore, not because I was offended or anything, but because they're true. There you go. As soon as you say tech clusterfuck, there.
He's gone. Oh, he's back.
I think you did that on purpose. I think he's grinning. You did that on purpose, didn't you, Tom?
Yeah, I did. Sorry, I couldn't.
We're getting ahead of ourselves now. We're like kind of making our own tech errors on purpose.
I've managed to lose the chat. My other window, it's all just gone blank.
Hey.
So I can see us chatting, but the chat is just a blank thing. And if I refresh it, nothing comes up. So I'm relying on you again, Z.
No worries, mate. No worries. Another decent question here. Mr. Happy Dappy asks, how do you guys source stock in the winter when the boot sales are over? Tom, what would you say?
Charity shops. There's an indoor car boot sale near me in an old mill building. That's quite good. I don't have any. I really, honestly, don't have any issues sourcing stock at all whatsoever. In fact, my biggest issue in my business is not being able to stop buying stock because I've got far too much. So
there we go.
Have you, on a slightly serious note, because I'm thinking this winter I'm just gonna, mind you, I have said this before, I'm gonna just stop buying and clear my backlog. But have you had those thoughts, Tom, the same as I have, and just not managed to follow it through, or how does it go in your head sometimes?
I'm pretty much about on a weekly basis. I think that's it. No more. I'm not buying anything now until January. And then I go to the post office and there's a charity shop next door, and what's in there? Oh, and I'm coming out with armfuls of TAT.
It's so hard to resist, though, isn't it? Because if you see an item you know is worth 20 quid, it's like leaving a 20 quid note on the shelf. And who would do that in their right mind is how it goes on in my head. You know what I mean? It's so hard to leave money behind.
Yeah, well, I mean, that happened today. I walked past the charity shop and I just saw this sat in the window, and it's like, well, I'm not going to leave that there. It's 99p. You know.
There's no way. You're right. There's no way you can. Yeah, you can't leave things. I think that. I mean, funnily enough, I'm kind of moving in the opposite direction. Not on purpose, but because of Rebecca being on board, and she's really good at listing. Like she'll sit and just list, and we're actually getting to the stage now where we're getting almost everything we've got listed. We're at that comfortable level where we're just at the right amount behind, so we can see the end of our inventory. But you never really want to get to the end, do you? I don't really want to be at a stage where I'm sat here thinking everything is listed, because that's bad. Because then that means you haven't got enough inventory. You've got to have a little surplus, haven't you?
I don't think, honestly, since I started reselling back in 2000 or whenever, I've been chasing that goal, and I've never achieved it.
Forever.
Well, there's a guy near me. His name's Ian Strutt, and he regularly puts on Facebook and stuff like that. Oh, I've listed everything I've got, and I'm just like, how on earth is it? How has he done that? It's his birthday today, actually, I think. So shout out to him. But yeah, I just don't know how he manages it.
Yeah, I mean that is the golden kind of goal, isn't it? That, for me, that would be amazing. It would be amazing, but it would be a bit worrying as well, because then I'd be like, unless I was selling buttloads, I'd then be like, oh my god, I've got nothing to list. I need to go out and then I'd just buy a bunch of stuff. And actually, we're doing a bit of show and tell. I mean, I've got this is fantastic. I was really happy with this. I've not found Hero Quest yet, but I found something which is just as good, which is this. This is the Hero Quest adventure design kit. So it's like I think you design your Hero Quest dungeons with it. I think I paid like £1.50 for that, and I've seen these sell for as high as like 70, 80 quid, and inside it's pretty much unused. I think it's got like those sticker sheets, and there was another game there, Dungeon Quest as well, which so I walked in 3 quid and walked out, and I was really happy with that. So
Wow,
that's
that's
what
good.
that is, and also this is something I'm putting this out there again. You know I hate Lego, right? I really hate Lego, and you know this just upsets me so much. I was up till 2 a.m. last night building this damn thing.
Sweet.
I bought this for £5 and I stuck it on eBay for about 35 or £40 in a massive pile. Like the photo is just all the parts, the books, and said it's being sold as sold as is. See the photos. I don't know if all the pieces are there. Just buy it. I was getting a lot of interest, and then I started getting questions. Do you think the main bits are there? I'm holding a charity for children, and I'd love to give this as a prize, and I'd hate for the children to play with something that's not complete. Could you please check it? And I was just getting these, and I got really frustrated because I thought I don't mind doing it, but now I've invested time in, and this is going to go back up online, and you can bet it's not going back on at 38 quid or whatever it was before. This is a retired set, and it's going to probably go up for double that now. Because I had to sit there, and because the stickers weren't even used. I mean, I was pretty sure it's complete, and actually, as it turns out, it is missing one tiny piece on the handlebar, which doesn't even matter. It's like a tiny I don't know if you can see that actually. It'd be difficult to show, but there's a tiny, tiny.
If you really want, if you get the part number, just let me know. I've almost certainly got it.
Nah, I'm done with it. That's it. That is it, and that is forever now. My Lego legacy ends here. Just had to put that out there.
Oh, you love it, really.
No,
Yeah, I don't like Lego either.
2 in the morning.
Guys, you're ganging up on me now. Actually, I just had a thought. Going back to what we were saying about getting to that nirvana point when you've got everything listed and for sale, I think a big part of my mind sees my unlisted stock as my security. And also going back to what Tom was saying, some weeks or some months you suddenly need to find 300 or 400 quid to pay a bill. I know I could dip into some stuff and pull out a load of fast-selling, high-value bits, and
Yeah.
it's there, and it's always in the back of my head that it's there. If I do get to the point where it's all listed, like you said, Z, what more can you do then? You just got to sit back and twiddle your thumbs.
And you don't want to be doing that. I think definitely. I think there's some truth to that. I mean, but the balancing act is that you don't want that to turn into these so-called like piles of death or death piles, as Scavenger Life calls them, or piles of shame or whatever. I mean, you've got to balance that. So it's like you said, you feel that you're comfortable, that you've got a bunch of decent stuff, but it can go too far as well, can't it? So
Well, I'm certainly at the point where I am itching to shift a load of gear, and that soon will be a lot easier to achieve once we move on from the shop and get it all set up here. I've spent the day actually sorting out the office at home, sorting out a load of racking. I'm selling off some of the racking, ironically, because I've got too much. So yeah, I'm just can't wait to get going. I did grab a couple of bits. I haven't got much here stock-wise because it's all at the office, but I was out yesterday and popped in a charity shop. I was quite pleased to find this. Have you guys had Cube Worlds before?
Yeah. I've done really well with selling groups of that.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've done okay on Amazon with unsealed ones, and I just looked this up on Amazon. I'm looking at 30, maybe I'd push 40 for a sealed
Yeah.
one. These are
I've
long
seen
since
the
deleted.
one.
I'd be worried selling those unsealed on Amazon just for one reason. When you pick them up, when I first picked them up, they rattle because they've got the gyro in them, haven't they?
Yeah.
They rattle, don't they? And I'd be afraid you'd be getting customers just not even. I mean, do you send them with batteries in them already, or?
I tend to replace the batteries. You can get them in packs, loads of them
Yeah.
at Poundland in a
So they'll know that it works. But if you were to
yeah.
send them to someone with no batteries, and I think when I sell them, I always list that they rattle, they're meant to rattle or something because of the gyro in them. But they're awesome fun. Those are
Yeah,
really
I think
yeah.
I was going to say most people that would be buying them are buying them because they're trying to complete a set or they've got a couple themselves, so they'll know.
Oh no, yeah, yeah.
I think you're nothing, mate. But yeah, I was really pleased with that. And in a different charity shop for £1 was this, and it doesn't look much, but it's factory sealed. And surprisingly, it's an old Wii title. The cheapest FBA for a new is about 20. So yeah, quite a good title actually,
That
which
is
did
really good.
surprise me.
Yeah.
That's good.
So that was 2 pickups for I paid a five on the pair because the cube world was £4, but I should turn that into on Amazon 50 quid before fees. So
Wow,
days.
that's insane. Because it's sealed, I presume.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think these used you can get for 2 or 3 quid, but
Yeah.
sealed buy box 20
Yeah.
quid. Easily.
Wow.
Nice.
Okay. A couple of decent questions have been coming through. Um, Dojore Creates or Dojore Creates asks, do you think the quality of eBay is declining? That's a bit of an open-ended question. I mean, I my initial reaction to that is, in terms of how eBay deal with you. No, I'm very happy with how eBay works and how they answer my questions and things. Is it declining in the sense of sellers? Again, I don't think so because they've been clamping down on sellers that aren't performing over the past few years. So I'm not sure what you mean by that. I mean, saying that, I still see an awful lot of listings which don't fill out item specifics, which makes me wonder like what people are doing considering how long eBay spent telling people from now on you must enter item specifics.
I actually think that eBay's fine, but for me, I think that Amazon FBA's gone downhill quite a lot. Because there's a lot of Muppets who've started doing it, and it really drives me mental.
Tom, can
People
I
who,
ask you? Tom, sorry, can I stop you? Could I ask you not to pull any punches and just speak your mind, please?
yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I'll quite happily rant away. I mean, I'm the dickhead of the week this week, which I'll tell you about later. But yeah, yeah, just absolute muppets who haven't got a clue what they're doing. People who are selling stuff, and you work out the calculation, and they're actually losing money selling the thing, and you think, what are you doing? I've almost felt like messaging some of them before, or people who are selling like they're selling like a PSP with 4 games on there, which is really against the policies, you know. Or you've got the big companies who are trying to compete with the merchant price. So everybody else is say pricing 35 quid for something, and they're 6.99, and you're like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I've seen a lot of booksellers, FBA booksellers, and they're selling that cheap that, like you said, they must be losing money because I mean I've looked at the level of fees that I'm at. Unless they've got a different deal, I don't know.
yeah.
They're just not making a penny. I don't understand the point of sending it up if you're making nothing. Where is the logic in any of it?
Yeah, I mean, I've been exposed to FBA more than I'd like recently, and even in my minor dealings with them, it's frustrating because it just seems like common sense. I mean, there's listings where Amazon are out of stock, they're still on the listing because they're expecting stock in, and yet you've got people undercutting them, and even worse, people on Prime, who are matching merchant when they could just be at the Amazon price or even above the Amazon price, making money. And the other thing that makes me laugh is the whole, the £20 barrier when people race to the bottom,
Yeah.
go below 20 quid without realizing that by charging a penny more, you know,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
people
was.
charging.
Yeah, I must admit I was doing that, like being like that 1p under, and then I think it was fake Rachel pointed out to me, Nick, just leave it at 20 because somebody will buy yours above one that's 19.95 because they'll get the free shipping on it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird because I have sold plenty of stuff at 19.99 or 19.95, I guess because they're either paying the shipping or they've got something else in their basket.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is a certain amount of logic to staying above 20 quid when you're prime. Certainly is. And I do, yeah, I hadn't actually given that any thought in the earlier days of FBA. And I think a lot of my stuff I still haven't price changed. So if you look at my account, it'll still be the same. So hands up to that one.
Um, David McGregor asks, how close is Tom to the 1 million listings across eBay and Amazon?
Well, not quite 1 million, David, but yeah, it's getting up there. I mean, well, last I looked, I was over 6,500 on FBA, and eBay, not that much. I think I've only got about 320, I think, something like that on eBay. So not too many, but that'll be pumped up a bit more with some of the stock that I've been given. So yeah.
Superb.
What's
Richard,
your, sorry, Zaheer, I was going to ask Tom, what's your stock limit now on Amazon? Did you get it doubled from 5,000 to 10, or how does it work?
Yeah. It was a royal pain in the backside. I had to jump through all sorts of hoops, send them documentation. It took weeks and weeks, and I only wanted them to expand it just a little bit so I could get past that 5,000, maybe to 5,500. And I just happened to speak to the right person, and in a few clicks, he upgraded me to have 10,000 units. So, I mean, I can't imagine myself going above 10,000 because I want the turnover to be much quicker. So, I don't want that many units sitting there, really.
Yeah, my FBA count hasn't risen a great deal in the last 6 months because I'm turning over really quite quick up there. It's like a couple of days ago, I sent up a job lot of ink, and the whole lot sold within about 2 hours. And I'm
Yeah.
trying to keep. Obviously, I do have a lot more slower stuff, but I don't think anywhere near on the level of some of your books and stuff that are going to sit for 6 months to a year. You know what I mean? I'm trying to keep it more quicker turnaround than that. Are you finding that
Yeah.
your storage fees are an issue yet, or not?
Yeah, I get charged. I've given up trying to track how much the storage fees are. Amazon just takes money out of my bank account, and hopefully I end up putting more money in it than comes out of it, pretty much. Because I've given up trying to calculate it really, because it just I avoid oversized things, and I avoid too many multiple quantities of the same item, or anything that's going to sit there for anything that's over a 2 million rank, really. Because it's just going to sit and sit and sit. And I've had recently they had a promotion on for getting stuff returned for free, and I got hundreds and hundreds of items returned back to me. But the only downside was the Muppets at Amazon decided it'd be really fun to put each one in their own individual box. So my postman, I think, actually wanted to kill me because just every day he'd have a whole trolley full of boxes, and then they started coming with a van, and I've got enough cardboard to last me all year now.
So that must have cost them a fortune as well. That's ridiculous.
Mental.
And you know what the fees are now? Because I've had some things returned for different reasons, and trying to find out how much they're charging you is a nightmare. What button do you press to find that out? Have you got any idea?
No idea. I've never been able to find it out. So it's one of those things that sometimes you've just kind of just got to go for it. You can be paralyzed by the fear of spending money or wasting money and whatnot. And sometimes you just got to go for it, move on, and get on with selling stuff. Really.
Absolutely.
So let me just tell you about me being the dickhead of the week. You might find this funny anyway, because I bought the PSP I showed you earlier off the guy at the weekend at the car boot. But what I didn't notice was, I bought the PSP and these two other bits. I paid 20 quid for all these three bits. Was that the PSP is missing its joystick? So
Oh,
I don't know how on earth I missed that.
You can get
So
them on eBay for a couple of quid.
yeah, so I'm gonna have to take it apart, and so that
that
was annoying. But then this the funniest. This is a PlayStation 3 DualShock 3, the wireless jobby. And I was like, oh, cool, these do all right. You know, sell these, or I've actually got a PS3 for this to go with, so I was quite excited because I thought, great, I can sell the PS3 now. And he got another one, so I bought them both. So there's the proper one. Hopefully you can see it. And then there was this one. I thought that's a bit strange. This one is a bit more shiny. When I got it home, I realised it's a PlayStation 2 controller that he's just cut the wire off the top.
No.
Yeah, so you can just see there where he's just snipped the wire off the top.
Oh,
Oh. How long have you been in this game, mate?
not to mention it says DualShock 2 on it as well, Tom.
Yeah, but I was drunk. I wasn't thinking clearly. You know, I'd not seen any computer game stuff all day, and
So you
yeah,
just-
so
Well,
yeah.
that's actually quite a good story in a way, because it just shows that even someone like yourself that's knee deep in TAT all the time can easily. I mean, I think I made a similar kind of error. I can't remember what it was. But, oh God, I bought something that was. When I got it home, I was like, "How did I miss this?" You know, it's such a glaring omission. God, I can't even remember what it was, but it was insane.
I made up for it though later on by getting this beauty.
Oh,
It's
sweet.
an Atari 2600 in original box.
Is that the Woody?
It's the Woody, yeah.
Oh, you jammy?
Yeah. I paid up for it. It was 20 quid, which is a bit much for an Atari, but it's got loads of games that are in the
I've got
original
one
box.
as well.
Hey!
Yay.
Mind you. I've got Pac-Man in
I've
it.
got Woody.
Yeah, sharing our Woodies online.
What sort of video is this?
My Woody's. Well, I haven't got the full fat Woody though. You know, there's different types of Woody you can get. This isn't the biggest Woody you can get.
I think I've got quite a big Woody actually, so let me just I'll talk amongst yourselves and I'll
So here's
try and get it out.
a semi-Woody.
Yeah, I've got.
Still got an echo. Why have I got an echo?
I don't know.
It might be mine, to be honest. I'm not sure.
Oh gosh. Actually, it's a good question from Richard Payne. He asks, did any of you pick up any RA stock from the VHS sell-off? I did notice Cora and Helen putting out their YouTube video. They got a massive haul of CDs. Yeah, there is an echo coming through. It's not. Yeah, it's coming through probably on one of you guys.
Might be me.
Yeah, probably you, Tom. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's from here. I've turned my volume right down.
But yeah, I mean, I noticed Cora and Helen put up a video about their haul they picked up at a BHS, which was pretty amazing. They had like stacks of CDs. Did any of you guys venture to your local BHS stores?
No, I didn't
Yeah,
really enough. It's the sort of thing I love to do. I did really well when Woolworths went under. I did really well when Busters went under. But I just wasn't on the ball with that really. Got too many things going on really to worry about it. So no.
Tom, did I hear you said you did, or?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, but the one nearest to me was one of the furniture shops. So they hadn't got a tremendous amount. I bought some just some little display stands, which I'm going to use for my antiques booth, and I got like a couple of reams of paper, which was really random for £1 each. But that was it really.
Oh, fair enough. Here's a question for you, Tom, from a certain Steve Hicksey. He asks, Tom, when are you coming up to mine for a mad night out on the ale? Or should I say mad night on ale? I don't know how you meant to say it, but
Yeah, I was gonna say to here, you need to get the local lingo nailed down. Really, now you've become a northerner. So yeah, I will do pre-Christmas. So I'll I will be up there.
I'll meet you as well then.
Yeah. I'll do what I did with Nick. Is I'll come up ahead of time and my phone's ringing. Excuse me. Let me just turn that off.
Yeah, that'll be That would be quite an epic one. Getting Tom and Hixie in charge of the night out.
Oh
If
God,
you
yeah.
go along here, just
I'd be on the periphery, just watching them drink.
you could
Um,
end up anywhere.
yeah, that'd be terrible. I've never seen anything like it. Um, moving on anyway. Moving
Sorry
on.
about that. Yeah. Sorry, it was my phone going. Yeah. So I'll be up your way, but I'll do what I did with Nick. Is I'll come up and then I'll clear the charity shops out, and then we'll meet up for some drinks.
Yeah, you can get the goodies like this. Say, I'm still showing those off. I'm really proud of those. Oh, you're
Yeah.
getting your Woody out again.
Yeah. Yeah. Just thought I'd show you. So.
Oh, thank you.
No, so there you go. So
It's a
yeah.
mint Woody you've got there. Looks like someone's put a little heart sticker on it.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's everyone hearts my Woody, so it's a bit dusty, but yeah.
Uh, okay. Anyway,
Tom
Di-
Woody, if we didn't laugh.
Diamond D says, "Thanks for talking about gold and silver, Tom. We all lost a bit, but our strategy was long term, right?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Buxton May asks, "How much profit do you make per week on average?" It's probably best to talk in percentages rather than numbers, because numbers can just vary. I mean, on average, what's the profit on a flip?
Oh, Tom's vanished again.
Yeah. I mean, that question's kind of open-ended because some weeks you can make a lot more than others. But on average, I look to make about 50% profit after all my fees and all my expenses. So as long as I've bought an item and the cost of the fees, etc., taken out, get about 50% profit, I'm pretty pleased with that. That's how I go on. In terms of numbers, it really depends on how much you sell.
Can we, Tom, is it possible to turn your volume down? I think the playback is coming from your end.
Or if you've got a pair of headphones you can stick in, Tom.
Any better?
Yeah, that's better, yeah.
I can't hear it now.
Let me try and I'll try and I need one of Zaheer's crappy headsets. I think that's what I need. So,
Well, no, yeah, that's what I'm using. Like, I've got stacks of these, picked up at an auction. They're quite good. Have you noticed my mic hasn't cut out?
Yeah, I was going to say, it's quite a revelation.
It's because I'm not using my expensive headset, that's why. I'm using
Right.
a cheapy
That
jobby.
sounds much better. I can't hear any playback now, any feedback.
That's much better, yeah.
yeah.
Going back to the question, I try and make if £100 a day profit to be comfortable, and that's kind of my target. And anything beyond that is great. I mean, for the last year, whilst we've been struggling to get the shop to where we wanted, that hasn't been easy to reach those targets. I'll be perfectly honest, because we've been throwing so much money at the shop. But that's what I aim for as my kind of comfort level.
Yeah, I'd agree with what you both said. Really, it's yeah. I mean, if I can get sort of 50%, that's great. I mean, it's such a hard. It's a bit like the question when people say, "What things can I buy to make money?" It's some people work on a smaller profit margin. Some people want home runs all the time. So difficult to say.
Exactly. Tommy21 asks, "Can you recommend the best way to see obscure, never sold before books on eBay?" So to sell. The best way to sell obscure, never sold before books on eBay. Have you got any advice on that, Tom? Would you ever sell books on eBay, Nick? I mean, I know.
Yeah. Go on, sorry.
No, go ahead. That was it.
No, I was going to say it's just pull the price out of your head and or go on makeupaprice.com and as Ken would say and just go for it and put all best offer on is the best way. Don't be afraid to chuck a silly number on it and put all best offer. Also you can cross-reference on sites like Abe Books. That's ABE Books. It's either .com or .co.uk. And there's loads of books on there which will be not on Amazon or out of print, and and you can gauge an idea of price from that. And there are other book selling websites. But yeah, I've had some books where I couldn't find anything about them. I had one recently which was a Oxford Dictionary from 1939, and it was some odd one, and I sold it for 15 quid. It took about a month, went on global shipping, and I was happy with that price. I paid 25p, so it may have been worth loads more, but I wasn't paralysed by that fear of putting the wrong price on it.
So Tom, how would you choose whether to sell a book on eBay as opposed to just shoving it in a box to Amazon? So, for example, that one that you just mentioned.
Um, well, if it hasn't got a barcode, if it hasn't got an ISBN number, which is, I can't remember the date, but it was around the 60s, I think, they started getting ISBN numbers. If it's before that, I don't send it into Amazon. It just, I've never had much success with that sort of early stuff on Amazon. Stuff with just ISBN numbers and without barcodes, I have sent in the past, but they are exceptionally slow going. So my business model's changed somewhat to more of what Nick does, more of a quicker flip, because otherwise you get cash flow shortfall. And for the most part, those sort of books I'll put on eBay, because the kind of clientele that are likely to buy that sort of older book, their main issues are condition. So with eBay, you can focus on, how it will wear and tear on it.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think eBay for that sort of stuff, the more antique and real collectible stuff, I think more of those sort of buyers do go to eBay, because you get a much more in-depth description, don't you? And generally a lot more pictures. And on Amazon, it's not that you're buying blind, but quite often there's very little description. And you don't quite know what you're getting. I know you can add pictures, which I like to do, and I know you guys do, but yeah, I think eBay is the place for, especially for something that's obscure and random. I'm not saying you can't sell them on Amazon, but I've had similar experiences to Tom, and I would put rare and collectible stuff on eBay.
Yeah, I mean, I know Amazon do have a collectible as a condition, but it just doesn't seem to be very. I guess it just doesn't come into most people's minds, does it?
You can list them on both. That is the other thing. If you're good at keeping up with, cancelling listings, you could potentially list it merchant fulfilled and on eBay to cover your bases a bit.
Yeah, I've tried that. I'm not organised enough to sort that crap out. That's just a recipe for disaster in my world.
There's an important question from Profits from Home. Well, it's a statement actually. Tom's the odd one out. Where's the beard?
Yeah. I decided to shave it off earlier because I thought I didn't want to look unkempt or like I just had a sleep or something. So.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's not a cool look. Definitely, I agree.
Me and Zaheer, we're just so hipster, man. We're down with the kids.
Yeah, I'm being cool. Where's my skateboard?
I just want to ask you, Zaheer, I've seen that big old stack behind you of computer games for the last couple of weeks. Is that stock that's waiting to be sorted, or is that all listed?
Oh, it's just TAT video games, like £3-4 titles. Most of it is actually listed, but they're kind of games that no one would want. I've got Sonic Mega Collection Plus. I've got multiple copies of that. Pacific Warriors, Dogfight. Yeah, they're all kind of naff games. That you get when you buy PlayStations at boot fairs for a tenner, and they chuck in a bunch of games. Those are the games that you get in the bundle, and I just thought I'd just list them because even if I get £3, send them a large letter. It's something, isn't it?
Yeah, I've got similar sort of stacks at work, and I think with PS1, I like to save them for the cases anyway. But every once in a while, I'll just do a job lot of the ones that are real,
The thing
trash.
is, people do buy them. It's weird because people will every now and then you'll get like a weird little sale for like a game that you wouldn't normally. And even I know it's only going to be like £3-4 sale, but I kind of just don't mind. And motivationally, it's another listing as well. So not the best in terms of profit, but that's what that is. That's why it's going down very slowly.
I was getting sick of piles of ones like that. So, like I said the other day, I just took them to CEX, and I was getting crap for them. I was getting like 20p and 10p, but I was sick of seeing them. So, but I did have a nice PlayStation 2 pickup at the weekend. I forgot to mention it, which was the infamous.
Ah,
Uh,
Genesis. Cool.
yeah. So yeah,
uh,
that was 20p. So.
what's
Oh
that
wow.
going for? Have you looked into it? What's it going for these days on PS2?
Yeah, it's come down somewhat, but it's about 15 quid, something like that. Both it's about the same on Amazon and on eBay. So I'll probably put that one on eBay. But yeah, I'll probably wait till nearer Christmas maybe, because I think that's good Christmas fodder. So I'll probably stick it at 20 and then see what happens.
David McGregor asks, we know that Nick gets recognised like a celebrity every car boot. Do Zaheer and Tom get recognised by randoms? David McGregor, the master of the YouTube question, definitely. Would you like to answer that, Tom?
Yeah. It happens with annoying frequency. Not loads, but yeah, it does happen. I mean, I went to Comic Con a few months back, and I actually got recognised by David McGregor, strangely enough. So that's sort of back at him. But yeah, it does happen. Everyone's been nice so far. There was one guy who was one of my dickheads of the week, who I think was intentionally trying to wind me up. Either that or he was just mental. I'm not too sure, but for the most part, people have been dead nice.
Yeah, it doesn't happen often, if I'm honest. It's happened a couple of times, but everyone's been really, really nice, which is cool. And sometimes you get like a little message on one of your videos saying, "Oh, I saw you, but I didn't want to disturb you or whatever," which is again, it just shows that most people are actually decent. Um, let's have a look here. I've got a few more questions. Um, Stephen Moore asks question. Hello guys, you probably had this a while ago, but do you get more listing benefits with top-rated seller status? I have not seemed to have gotten mine for some reason. eBay top-rated seller status. I mean, I don't know really off the top of my head what the benefits are. There are meant to be some benefits, but I'd say they're negligible. So I wouldn't worry too much about them. I mean, there's actually been a little glitch recently. I don't know if either of you have noticed it, but if you look at your seller dashboard, some people have had their power seller level reduced to bronze, and it's for no apparent reason. Even when you look at what is required for silver or gold, whatever you normally are, even though it will show that you're meeting those requirements, for some reason you'll have a little flag with a notification saying that you've been dropped to a bronze level power seller status. And I was on the phone to eBay, but then I was Googling at the same time, and I saw that there were some really big sellers on eBay commenting on the forums, so I thought, screw it, I'm not going to waste my time and just put the phone down. They'll fix it eventually, but a bit of info there.
Yeah, that's news to me.
Yeah, it's news to me.
Regarding top-rated seller, I think the main thing is that you get a bit of a boost in the best match search. You get a bit of discount in your fees, but to get the real discount, you still have to offer X, Y, and Z on your listings, don't you? You have to offer like fast and
Is that what it is? Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't pay it too much attention. I mean, there are plenty of sellers out there that aren't top rated that sell a shed load of gear. It's not the end of the world.
Adam Incredible asks question, Tom, what job did you have before reselling? David McGregor reckons that you were a pimp.
Obviously, there was the dancing I used to do as well. There was that the late night. That no, I'm joking. We don't talk about that. And no, what I used to work for a furniture maker in London. So that was the job that I did. I also worked at a couple of places off Bond Street and whatnot. So I did that. Well, I was my qualification I need to update, but I was a qualified tree surgeon, so I did that for a while. I worked at Alton Towers, so just little jobs like that. But like user here, I just tended to walk out on them. So and then the last proper job I had, I got made redundant, and that's kind of what spurred me into thinking, stuff this. It was a recession. I got made redundant, and that was it. Just went for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to kind of be honest with yourself, don't you? And if you stick at it for too long, I mean, I know people are always like, oh, you should be really careful about jumping into working for yourself, and you should. But sometimes you can make yourself feel bad, can't you, by continuously forcing yourself to take jobs? Because I got to the point where I was thinking, is there something wrong with me? Because I kept on, like, say, I kept on starting jobs, doing well at them, but eventually I knew I'd be walking out of it.
Oh, I got ka-ching.
Oh, it's like a ching.
Yeah. I've actually got my ka-ching working. I did. It sometimes packs up. Mine packed
Yeah.
up, and I couldn't be bothered to uninstall it for about the last 3 months. And I reinstalled it the other night, and it's so satisfying having that ka-ching back.
That
If I
doesn't.
keep disappearing as well, guys, I'm just getting water because I've got a really tickly cough. So if I keep vanishing, that's all it is.
The ka-ching doesn't happen. Doesn't seem to vanish on Android. But yeah.
Sorry, what were you talking about, Zaheer? I interrupted you, mate.
Um, no, it was just saying that sometimes when you work. Tom mentioned how you ended up just walking out of jobs eventually. It was basically just talking about that sometimes if you force yourself to just keep on taking jobs, you get to the point where you start thinking, is there something wrong with you because you keep on walking out of jobs? So,
Yeah. We all share a very similar thing. I literally walked out on every single job I ever had.
Yeah, I can't work notice. I don't understand the concept of it, and it's just so it wasn't right for me. There's actually a question following on from that. Carp Fishing Adventures asks, Zaheer, I've seen a few now, and obviously this applies to you as well, Nick. Is there any chance you guys can make it work without going back to work? Have you worked it out? Oh, okay, so it's more at me, but yeah, we can. I think we can make it work without one of us having to get a part-time job. That's the beauty of this. If you need to come up with the cash, you do the necessary, and it looks like we'll be okay. Just requires a lot of hard work.
Yeah, and there's no shame in knowing that you've got that as a backup plan anyway. That's plan C or D, isn't it? To maybe one of you take part time, and yeah, no problem.
Yeah. Let's have a look. Um, we've got a couple of more questions. Have you ever sold package? Okay. Paul Marsh asks, "Hi guys, I've recently put my back out and can't do a lot on eBay at the moment. I'm lucky that my full-time job pays me sick pay. How do you guys cope when you are ill or unable to work?" You just
Don't get ill.
Yeah, just don't get ill. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't.
Um,
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Go on, Tom.
Yeah, I know that feeling. About March time, I was lifting Amazon boxes, and I really put my back out, and I was out of action in like a back brace type thing for over a month, and yeah, I suffered both, obviously physically, but financially it really did me over. But I mean, I just put my eBay shop on holiday mode and relied solely on FBA, and FBA was kind of my sick pay, really.
Yeah, it is. In all seriousness, it's quite a big deal if you're self-employed because you don't get any sick cover, and if you're seriously ill, you're going to struggle. It's as simple as that. But interestingly, since I went full-time way back in 2001, I could probably count on two hands how many days off I've had. Whereas when I was in full-time employment, you could count quite a lot more. It's funny how that works.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're getting paid to be off, you might as well have the day off if you can get away with it, kind of thing. So
Exactly.
you're less motivated to go in.
Moochbert asks, "Have you ever misplaced a sold item?" Yes.
Yes. Everybody does it.
Yeah, that feeling of dread.
Yeah, and it's the worst feeling looking for it, isn't it? Because it's like you're just so angry at yourself, and wherever you look, and then you look in the same place 10 times, and it's like, it must be on this shelf. So you go back to it again. It's like, oh, I hate it. I get so angry. But even Steve, who is Mr. like tidy freak, isn't he? He managed to lose that Lego the other week. So happens to the best of us. If Steve can lose something, anybody can.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. With his OCD, I mean, I'm always every now and then I check that website. You know, the website that checks whether you've got duplicate listings on eBay. I always double check that website. It's really good. You just type in your shop name and which eBay site you sell on, and it scans through your listings and tells you if you've got any duplicates. And I'm always checking duplicates now. Um,
That's news to me.
is it?
What's that called?
No, it's news to me.
I'll drop a link. It's a really good website, and you literally all you have to do is put in your username, eBay UK, and it'll scan through your shop. And if it thinks there's any potential or possibilities of duplicate listings, which can often be the points where you sell something and you can't find it because you've relisted it by accident or something like that. So I check that to help minimize it happening. But even then, you're bound to misplace the odd item. But I mean, touch wood, it's not been too bad actually overall. But yeah, I mean, I'll put a link, or I'll send you the link and you can put it in the video, can't you, Nick? Or
Yeah, yeah, sure. I will do. I'll tell you what I do, and it's happened a couple of times recently with Lego, which I'm selling in quantity. So, like a selection of a certain piece, and I've got 10 lots available. When I do sell similar, it reverts to the original amount that you had. Let's say I had 10 lots, I sold 2 on the first cycle, I go sell similar and forget to adjust it down to 8. I've had that recently, and I've sold stuff I don't have left. And so frustrating. So I'm trying to get systems in place to avoid that. But just be careful when you do sell similar
yeah.
to check the quantities.
And also, a lot of people do sell similar instead of relist because they believe that it boosts the listing. And when they do sell similar, the original listing is still in your unsold item. So
Yeah.
it's always worth immediately deleting all those unsold. Sometimes I see people when they share their sales or whatever, and they've got like hundreds of items in their unsold listing. I mean, just delete it immediately as soon as you've sold similar. But obviously, make sure that your sold similar has worked, because if you think you've sold similar and then you delete, then that could be bad.
I always go in and check. I always go into my shop and check they're
Check
there.
the
I'm
actives.
so paranoid it hasn't worked.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I've had it recently. I've gone through some of my stock and I've realised I've got items there that were listed and somehow the listings have disappeared. And I think that's what it's been. I've accidentally deleted the unsold or whatnot. And I found probably a dozen items that I thought were listed and they're not at all. So,
Gosh.
Yeah, I
But
found that.
sorry,
Once I cannot work out where the listing's gone.
I wanted to
It's
quickly
sat on the
butt
shelf
in.
for 6 months not listed, and you're like, what happened?
I have to butt in. We hit 121 watches.
Oh yeah.
hey.
Wow.
That's got to be a new level. Is it?
I don't know. We're competing with EastEnders at this rate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Everyone put their kettles on now. I mean, I had to butt into that, but yeah. Rudy Branch, 122 now. Okay. Rudy Branch asks, also, do you guys not get sick of sellers lying to you about something working when you get home and it doesn't? So many car boot sellers lie through their teeth. Firstly, I wouldn't use the word lie always, because sometimes people literally have just pulled stuff that's been sat in like a damp shed out or a damp attic out for years, and last time they did use it. So I wouldn't say lie. It's just it's a hazard of what you're doing.
Yeah,
Like,
it's going to happen. If you're going to
yeah,
buy
yeah,
electricals, factor into the fact that this may not work. Don't pay real top whack for something and leave yourself a tiny margin, because it's 50-50 it's going to work. And it's
Mm.
buyer beware at boot sales, absolutely. And there will be people selling stuff they know doesn't work. There'll be the minority, for sure, but can't avoid it, I'd say.
Well, if you want to sell electricals, I mean, unless you avoid selling electricals, then that way you can minimize your exposure to that risk.
Yeah.
There's always ways around it. I mean, there's so much available to resell out, out there.
You sort of swing towards the electricals and the tech stuff. What sort of percentage have you found roughly as not worked? Would it be 1 in 10 things or less than that?
Not a lot really. I mean, I think it does depend on the kind of electrical as well. But the kind of things that I pick up, they're not often faulty because I tend to be buying good quality stuff. It works most of the time. And that is that whole thing of spotting quality. When you can spot quality, I mean, I bought an amp off a guy who didn't even know if it worked or not. It was really old, it was on a wet floor, but this thing was built like a brick house. So I was just, and it's very unlikely that something like that will not work. Then again, if you're buying something that needs to be sold by Dixon's or Woolworths or whatever, or then the chances are quite high that when you get it home, it won't work because it was crap to begin with.
That does ring true, actually, because not that long ago, a couple of months maybe, I picked up 2 dictaphones. One was Grundig, made in Germany. One was Boots, made in China. Well, guess which one didn't work?
Yeah.
So luckily, the Boots one, which just didn't work at all, was worth at best a tenner. The Grundig one, which worked perfectly, even after opening it up and realising it had battery leakage, I managed to clean it out and it was fine. That worked perfectly, and it's listed for 60, 70 quid.
Nice, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I think battery leakage is probably going to be one of the biggest things you're going to have to deal with. So, by the way, we're up to 127. I'm not going to do a running total, but 127.
It seems to be creeping up every week. We get a new benchmark, don't we? 127 is the new record.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah.
I was just going to say, I think like you said, it depends on the item. Sorry, I was getting a beer, but if you'd already said this, but like it's things like original white Xbox 360s. 90 to 95% of the ones you see at car boot sales will not work, guaranteed. So it just depends what you're buying.
Yeah, with consoles, I stopped picking up Sony PS2s because I hate them with a passion. The great machine, don't get me wrong, but they're just so flaky.
Nick,
whereas
I've not had
that. What's that?
See, that's the thing, Nick. I've not had that. PS2s are probably amongst the most reliable consoles.
Not with my experience. And when we had the shop, I mean, when we packed up the shop in my basement, I had piles. I must have had 20 or 30 dead PS2s.
Wow.
Without a word of a lie. And I think I've just been scarred for life by my experience in retail. But whereas, compare that with Nintendo, I think I found one faulty Nintendo Wii over the years. Must have picked up 100.
Yeah. What you need, Nick, is that you need to use one of the wireless PS2 pads. That's what you need. Work every time with one of these.
I dare you, Tom, to list that as a wireless PS2 controller. And then put a disclaimer. It's not a wireless pad. I've just cut the wire off.
99p start auction, free shipping. Yeah.
Put rare in the title.
Rare.
Hand modified wireless pad. Yeah.
No, just modded.
Yeah, modded. Yeah. May not work with your particular system.
Right, I was just looking at time. If we take maybe 1 or 2 questions and then we'll wrap it up because we're already at an hour and a half. That's gone so quick again.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of questions in, so I'm really sorry to everyone that we can't get to. Here's a good question. Batfink asks, guys, how many hours a day do you need to spend working to make a living? I've just picked that out at random, by the way. There was lots of comments I've not even got through to, so I'm really sorry about that. But I just picked that out. It just caught my eye.
That's a classic how long is a bit of string question.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got amazing quality stuff and you can list really quick, you could list 10 items that are worth 100 quid each in the morning and bugger off down the pub. But that's not going to be most people's reality, is it? Whereas I don't know. I mean, I try and do a normal sort of day's work, like an 8 hour stint if I can, but maybe I'll start late and work later into the night, or, my hours are very flexible as in when I put them in, but I
Yeah.
do put in as many hours as someone doing 40 hours a week easily, if not more.
Yeah,
I bet if you worked it out, you'd be on less than minimum wage kind of thing with the amount of hours you put in, especially when you start.
definitely.
Mm,
What I would say to anyone is, like in my limited experience, that you will do more hours than a regular job. If you're looking for easy money, then just get a job. A job is actually easier money per hour, probably, because the thing is, what you have to get used to is not necessarily like Nick said, you could have amazing items that you could just list in the morning, but the thing is, when you're at the pub, you're not just going to be sitting there enjoying your drink. You're going to be sitting there enjoying your drink, thinking, I hope some of that amazing stuff I've listed sells. What you have to get used to is the constant thinking about your business. That is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, from what I know.
Yeah,
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 it's true. I
definitely.
mean, I'd say it's a lifestyle choice,
Yeah,
isn't it? I don't know if you'd agree with this. And it isn't the easy option that sometimes it's made to look out to be. And of course, we all talk about our sales, and I think Zaheer is very good at showing that the darker side of this and the days when you're down and it's hard work and stuff, which is needed. But yeah, it's certainly not an easy option. And if you're work shy, don't become a reseller because it won't work out.
definitely.
Hmm. There's no room for the lazy or inept, really. You've got to have that motivation,
Definitely.
even if sometimes it is just to buy stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, none of us lack that motivation.
No,
The buying stuff I could do all day, every day, until I run out of money.
definitely. Well,
Right,
guys,
should we
yep.
do one more, or do you want to wrap it up? Where are we at?
Um,
Half.
yeah, I mean, I can pick out one more. So look, could you do this? A lot of people are saying great advice, etc. There's some weird jokes going on actually. Here's a nice easy one to end on. CNH ask, what's your biggest fail sales? What's your biggest sales fail? I'm guessing.
I don't know.
Hmm.
I've been asked this sort of thing a few times, and I can never think of any. You guys go. I'll try and think of something.
Yeah.
I think my biggest fail, guns are here if you
Oh
want
no
to
no
go
no no!
first.
You've got one, so I've got to think of
Right.
one. Yeah.
Was when I was doing gold and silver. I bought it from the car boot sale. I can't remember how much I paid, but I paid a decent price for it, and it was a silver men's um, curb sort of necklace. It's this sort of, the standard type sort of blocky, chunky necklace, real weighty thing it was. And they're quite popular, they're plentiful, but the heavier ones are popular. And for this was before buy it now, so I decided to put it on an auction. And I started at 99p plus postage. And I don't know why it just didn't get bid on that much, and it sold for less than I paid for it, and I lost. So, because if I'd have scrapped it at the like dodgy pawn shop down the road, I would have got way more money than to selling that. And it sold to somebody whose eBay shop was called Silver Chains for You, and I just looked at their shop and they got it, and then I saw that they listed it again, and I was like, oh no. So.
That is quite a fail. Not as bad in terms of cost to me, but I was getting into buying art, and I was at an auction. I'll always remember this now. Anytime anyone asks me my biggest fail, this is it. I was getting into buying art. I was at an auction, and I saw these nice looking framed prints, and when I got them home, something didn't seem quite right to me. I opened them up, had a look, and they were actually just calendar photos that had been cut out and framed. Luckily, I hadn't spent much. I think it was like £4 or £5, but it was pretty embarrassing.
I think
That's pretty bad, isn't it? I mean,
I think I remember you sharing that in a video actually,
Yeah, I
and
remember
it's
it.
one of
Yeah.
those moments that you just have to go through, don't you?
yeah,
I think one that sticks out for me is so early on when we first started doing Amazon Merchant Fulfilled,
yeah,
and it was when the Harry Potter, I think the first pretty chunky Harry Potter came out, and we sold it on Amazon, but we just didn't cater for the fact that it weighed nearly a kilo or whatever. And by the time the Amazon fees had come out and then we posted it, we realised it cost us a couple of quid to give it to this person. And you only do that once, and then you become much more au fait with knowing how much it's going to cost you and how much you're actually going to get with your commission and etc. from Amazon.
Mm.
So yeah, just a word of warning: know how it works with postage.
There is one thing I want to quickly just say about Amazon before I forget, and I was going to do a video about this, but if you're into Amazon and particularly Merchant Fulfilled, they've got a new system now where there's when you load something in, there's a little box that you can get what's called the advanced view, so you go down and it shows you more. I'd always suggest clicking that because an error that I've been noticing recently is that you'll be typing a price in and it'll automatically input what price you want on other marketplaces like in Germany and France. And sometimes it can be shockingly cheap. So you always need to pay attention to those prices at the very bottom because I've had it where I wanted to sell something for say 25 quid, and in France it was saying it was 6.99. So you've really got to watch that because that's a little thing that's been happening recently with the new system.
Is that just for Merchant Fulfilled then, were you saying?
No, that's for FBA.
But I have
So
preset for my international, I preset it at a higher percentage. So does that not overrule that?
yeah, basically I'd turn that off. So maybe it's something to do with that. Um, because certain books, I've got quite a lot of foreign language books which I wanted to obviously, appeal more to the international buyers, so I would set them cheaper. So it's just something to look out for with this new advanced search feature that you've got to click on to scroll down and check. Because there's been a couple of times where I've listed something and it happened to me, like you said, it only happens once that I'd sent something in and it was called, I can't remember what it's called, but it was called something like Cuckoo Chicken Barn, and it was a kid's toy that I bought retail arbitrage, and I sent it in, and it was 24.99, and it sold for €6 and went to Italy, and I definitely lost money on that. So
Yeah, that's worth
crazy.
looking into then. I'll have a look at that.
that's a
Mm.
great.
Right. Well, as you can see, I'm losing daylight and disappearing. So I think this is probably a good point to thank everybody for watching. We're just over 100 still, so some people have made it to the end. So well done. Thanks ever so much, Tom, for chatting. It's been a long time.
Yeah, not a problem. Yeah, we're certainly overdue for a beer, so you should come up and come join us with Hixie and Zaheer. That's what we should do.
Yeah. Yeah, if I can, I'll be there. You know me. I'm not shy of drinking beer.
Thanks everyone in the chat who's come and watched, and thanks Thomas. It's been good to chat with you. It's been a while. Like I
Yeah,
said.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Thanks everybody for
yeah.
joining us. Attack Monkeys wittering on about all sorts. So.
Brilliant. Well, cheers, guys. Thanks a lot to hear, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.